It is my pleasure to introduce Mark Humphreys, graduate at Texas Tech. Also, the most successful multifamily housing designer in the United States. So Mark, it's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you.
Well, sorry I was a little late. We had a little headwind coming in our plane, but I'd like to have this chance to talk to you guys about innovation in the business of architecture. And that's very important. The way I'm phrasing that is our company and companies are in the business of architecture. We're not in the architectural business. And it's a big difference. I learned a lot here from the university about design and still you're one of the best design schools and management and professional practice schools of people we hire. But I'll touch on this a couple of times. All the courses I tried to take for electives were in the business department. Because I heard that architects are terrible businessmen. And we see that a lot. And so that was very important to me to get that business background in addition to the design influence I had at the school. Next one, please. I think it's important for me to just kind of go over some things first about our firm so that you understand a little bit about Humphreys Department of Architects. First of all, we have 8 U.S. offices and we have 3 international offices. We survived the Great Recession well intact. We did cut about 20 or 25% of our staff during that time, and we did it quickly. That's very important, not to carry staff when you don't have the income stream to support them. Cut quick versus carry them a long period. We did fine through the Great Recession and came out with larger market share in the U.S. than we went into it with. We do developer-type projects. We do some government work too, but primarily apartment projects or condo projects. We do office buildings, we do hotels, we do all that. But the best real estate market in the country is apartments. And we happen to gain market share, so now we are. So we gained market share and, wow. And so we are now 15% of the U.S. market. We did 20,000 apartment units last year, and we're projecting somewhere around 30 or 35,000 this year. And I'll show some things locally here too that you are going to be familiar with. But since we're the largest apartment architecture firm in the U.S., I get asked these questions. Who's the end user? Where is it hot? And what type of product is happening? And that's something skipped here. Oh, here we go. Well, who is it? Well, 70% of home ownership is what the norm was. And whoever said that everyone ought to own a home is just a crazy statement, you know. And so home ownership is dropping, and some project it may go down to 60%. Well, there's 74 million homes in the U.S. That's a 7.4 million delta. So it's potential that those people will rent. Now, they will probably rent homes, but they'll also rent apartments. There's been 2 years of not renting just because of the economy, and that's believed to be pent-up demand of 500,000 apartment units to 1 million apartment units that's in demand. 2 years of echo boomers, and that's most of you out there. I'm a baby boomer, my children are echo boomers. 2 years of echo boomers, they weren't getting jobs. That's 3 million kids a year coming out of college and high school. So that's 6 million pent-up demand, 3 million more this year if we don't turn it around. And then there's 74 million of me. There's 84 million echo boomers. There's 74 million of me out there, baby boomers. And now my kids are gone. They're off college or living in their apartment. And so I'm looking at downsizing. I'm looking going to Dudley to an urban environment. You were way ahead of your time, Mr. Thompson. Way ahead of your time. Mortgages are 15 to 20% down. Kids don't want to be stuck in a place. And There's approximately 5 million apartments built in the 60s and 70s. My time when I came out of college in the 70s, they're now obsolete. Used to be a rule of thumb about demand for apartments was 25% of the employment growth, people would rent apartments. That 25% of, let's say if it was 100,000 or a million jobs, 250,000 will rent. And 2 million jobs, 500,000 rent. Well, because of the things I showed you on that other page, it's believed now that 50% will rent. That means there could be 500,000 people needing an apartment or a million people renting an apartment. And then where we're doing stuff, here's a US map, obviously. These dots represent most of the contracts out that we did last year in our company. There's 500 contracts we sent out last year for apartment projects. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about marketing today too. You'll find when you send out a contract, not everybody signs it. So, and they say we're not going to go ahead. But we close about 35% of these, and that's typically what we do is 35%. I'm sorry, you can't hear me in the back. So, but this gives us a real direction on where the markets are that are hot, where we want to concentrate, and then over on this right side are the type of apartment designs we do, and it gives us a clue what people are looking for, so maybe we concentrate our marketing on that. Next. And here's our 8 US offices. Now, here's a chart I found in the Census Bureau. And the yellow lines are recessions. The blue is monthly apartment permits. So over the last 12 or 14 years before the Great Recession, we did 280,000 units in the United States, right here, about 12 or 14 years. And that was boom time. That was great, fantastic time. Well, you can see where we are right now. We're about 120 to 180,000 starts in the US, so we're way below where we were. But demand is real strong. Apartments are leasing crazy. When I came out of school, it was right there. And look what happened. 280,000 just 3 or 4 years ago, but when I came out of school, it went to 1 million starts. And there were 74 million of us, and then next. And there's 84 million of you. So our projections are that we're going to repeat this. If you annualize this out, more of a bump versus a point, it's about 600,000 apartment units a year. So on the innovation side, you know, it's arguable in your lifetime, this is one of the greatest innovators, Steve Jobs, but we adopt this philosophy too. You can't just ask what customers what they want and then try to give them that. By the time you get it built, they'll want something new. So what we try to do, which is really, we believe, much different than the normal architectural practice, we do, you know, where clients come in and say, I want this building here, I want this, and this is the program. You know, we do all that. But we do something different. Just like a software company. We sit down and go, you know, what if we had this type of apartment project for them? Wouldn't there be a high demand for that? And then we announce it. And then we own the rights, we own the copyright, so someone has to come to us for that type of product. So we spend a lot of time doing that. On high rise, we came up with something we call the home rise. We try to brand everything. And to me, what bothers me about a high-rise or a corridor type project, you have a long corridor. This is typically a 180-foot long corridor. Feels like a dormitory. So what we innovated was doing 2 elevator lobbies with a stair tower in each of those and connected it by a fire corridor. So that corridor could get much smaller, didn't have to be finished out at $150 a square foot. And when you came off your elevator, you were only in a 30-foot elevator lobby. Well, the irony of everything is it looked better, it made the building more efficient, it cost less to build, and their operating costs were less. So everything was good. So that became very successful, and we were able to do lots of high-rise towers because of that. The first one was the one before, but the one on the right, and this has a a townhome, this is in Minneapolis, has townhomes wrapping a 500-car parking garage in a 27-story building. And then this one here won best high-rise residential tower in the U.S. Just 2 years ago. Next. And here's another one in San Antonio. This one's built now. And again, you can kind of see they have similar elevator lobbies. And a funny story is I was there with another client showing them the building, and I forgot we had done our home rise concept with the multiple elevator lobbies, and I got off. And I said, you know, I thought this was a bigger building than this. And the owner of the building said, Mark, you forgot there's another lobby on the other side. So I filled it myself, but next. This is one we're currently working on in Denver, and it has 3 of those elevator lobbies where they're segmented. So again, you don't see these long corridors, all they see are those areas there. And it provides a lot of benefit, not just a better look. We also are working on things, it's all about, of course, design is extremely important. People want to live in a very exciting design and good-looking property, but it has to be functional and hit the numbers. So when we do high-rise, we're in high-rise building code, and costs jump dramatically because you have to have fire control rooms, you have to have pressurized elevators, pressurized stair towers, all these sorts of things. And a fire control room is, since it's over the length a hook and ladder can be, you have to be able to have a fireman come into the base of the building and control that building in one room. We're in a building that's below the length of a hook and ladder, you don't have to. So we are trying to achieve the highest density we can below that level also, which delivers to our clientele something they hadn't had before, density at a lower cost. Another reason for them to come to us. So this is in the Woodlands. We've done several projects in the Woodlands on the waterway, and it's 7-story wood frame. And most people say you can't do 7-story wood frame. So there is a way to do it. And this one here is for Gables Residential. You might have heard of them. And this is in Dallas on the Katy Trail, which is a real cool area. And this is currently under construction and will be available for recent graduates to move in when you come out. But this is flat plate slab, and again, 7 stories. Next. In urban movement is extremely high today, and it's escalating. And a lot of it's because of you guys, a lot of it's because of the baby boomers, that they want to be where the shops are, where the retail is, everything walkable, the restaurants, the outside dining, not out there in the golf course community, not out there in the suburbs. They want to be where it's happening. So in Minneapolis, this project is currently under construction. It's 5/2, 7 stories, has retail at the base. It says right here, grocery store, but that's a Whole Foods. And this is our latest one that we completed in Dallas, right across from West Village, if you know where that is, a big shopping, outdoor shopping, restaurant dining area. That is also a 5-story wood frame, which is stretching the limits of what you can do in wood frame, but is less expensive to do. And here's in Tampa, another mixed-use development. We do, these are mostly podiums where you're building over your parking. We do a lot of what we call wraps, where we wrap around a parking garage. Next. And here's some examples of those. This is in Fairfax, Virginia, a very, very hot market for apartments. And then in Orange County, which now has just turned hot. We have an Irvine office, and they're very busy in Southern California and Northern California. Next. Now, student housing. We're also the largest student housing architect in the U.S. Here are some examples of projects. We do townhomes, we do high-rise, we do breezeway stuff. We've got a prototype design called the E-Urban we do for student housing that's very efficient. It's now in to do urban-looking student housing projects. We did the Overton development, the master plan on all of that, and as well as 3 apartment projects over there that have been extremely successful. And new ones going up by American Campus Communities, but we did the the center and the property behind it. Next. Again, this is our e-urban concept. You guys probably recognize this. You know, Google Earth dropping in. But it is also a non-corridor design. And then a similar one we have out in, I think that's in Riverside, California. Next. Now, this is a little different, and this is talking again about innovating. We came up with something that we thought would be high demand, and that is, you know, most apartment projects in the suburbs are what we call breezeway buildings, 24-unit building with these long corridor stairs in them. We came up with a design that looks like a house. This right here is 10 units in this building, and it's a 350-unit project overall in San Antonio. And it's designed to look like a hill country home. But everybody has their own front door. One door, he goes up the stairs, his unit's there, he opens up a door, and there's a two-car garage there. There's actually another stair hidden back here, a unit over there, and there's his garage, and it all duplicates on itself, but they all, each of these are 10-unit buildings. This is in San Diego, and this is in Maryland. This, again, has been a new innovation we've done in our market, in our business. So people come to us, we call it the big house, and they come to us and say, yeah, we want a big house in Connecticut or Hartford or whatever. We talked to the mayor, and the mayor said, I would accept that kind of looking apartment versus the old style. So we've done over 250 projects of this at $30 million a piece. That's not my fee, that's what it costs to build one. But if you do the math on that, that's $7.5 billion in construction for these projects. And we get a call every week, somebody wanting to do one of those. Now, there's another trend too, and that is smaller units. This is again in the property near the West Village, where we're doing a small sleeping area and a living area. You walk in and, actually that photo's reversed, but you know, have a small kitchen area, a small bath area. So you're getting the total size of the unit down to the very basics, like 550 square feet. And the reason why you're doing that is, in a market like this where people are paying $2 a square foot for renting there, if they have a 750 square foot one bedroom, which is more normal, they're paying $1,500 a month. Where at a 550, they're only paying $1,100 a month, only 11. So that's why we're making things smaller, and this is getting it even down to an even smaller amount. I think that's like 400. Here's one in the Woodlands. Since the advent of the flat screen, you can cut 2 feet out of the living room, and we mount the flat screen over the island, and inboard bedroom that has translucent sliding panel doors. Okay. On the green side of things, we look at green a little differently. Although I own a Tesla, so I guess I'm a race car environmentalist. We try to find, like we'll use the U.S. Building Council green guide, and we'll go through it, and we'll go to our client and go, look, 80 points in your green building, but you only have 60. And it costs you nothing to get to that 60, but we tell them where he's at. You know, you got to do bike racks and put some bikes in there. You get 2 points for that, all that. But if you want to go to that next level, it's about HVAC. It's about, you know, mechanical systems, maybe about solar panels. So we look at that on every single project. Some we do lead, not all we do lead, but this is a lead project here. This is the greenest off-campus student housing project in the U.S. 100% of the common area is on PV panels, and 30% of the residential power. Now, really what that statement means is a financial statement to our client. He was able to do a calculation on how much those panels cost, and he's taking off the grid any of his costs for his electric that he has to pay for hallways, for outside lighting, for whatever. And he can take that number and go, okay, it's $65,000. I take that off. That means I'm getting $65,000 more in income that I don't have to pay. What's my payback on those panels? And that worked for him. So that was an economic decision. It also helps it was in California, and they have a 50% tax credit out there where they don't have that in Texas. But we also are doing green chargers at all of our apartment projects today. And that is a marketing reason. And we also have 220 plugs and ones that have garages like this and the ones that have parking garages. We run conduit for 100 plug-ins, but we only actually do the electrical wiring for like a dozen. But the marketing reason is this. If you're in Dallas, Texas, and you want to be in one of these urban areas, and you're looking around and go, I like this one, I like this one, I like this one. But you drive a Volt or a Leaf, are you going to pick one that doesn't have a plug-in? Well, of course not. So we don't know of another firm that is doing like we are doing, so our clientele, all of theirs have plug-ins ready to go, and the cost to retrofit a project is very expensive. So that's kind of the way we look at green. Now, here are my 3 daughters. I asked them about what they were looking for in apartments. And of course, whenever I email them, I never have a response back. So it's all on the iPhone texting. You know, so you learn a lot about echo boomers. Let me ask you a question. How many echo boomers are out there? Raise your hand. None? Okay. How many of you wear a watch? Well, a few. Most echo boomers don't have a watch. They can see the time on their iPhone, so they don't wear a watch. But anyway, so I was asking my girls what they're looking for in an apartment. And you know, they have kind of the comments you can all imagine. We want to be where things are happening. Price is very important, so we got to be very careful about that. Close to nightlife, important. General area of work doesn't have to be walking distance. Big, lots of windows. Somewhat large closets. Just because I can't read too well. Livable. I want a place I can bring my friends. It doesn't have to be too huge, more than 700 square feet. Don't want to entertain my bedroom. I'm glad she said that. So this one though, I asked her a verbal question. I said, that's Cassandra. I said, Cassie, and she's a Texas Tech grad, by the way. She was in finance, just got out. But I said, Cassie, what do you think about granite? And she goes, what do you mean granite? And I said, well, granite countertop. Because we have to decide as an architect or as a developer if we're going to put granite in or laminate countertops. That's a big price difference. And I said, so granite countertops. And she goes, well, isn't that what you and Mom have? And I started to think about it. Our home that she grew up in has a style of granite called Ubatuba granite. Very popular style. It's kind of a goldish brown. And our second home in Florida has the same granite. So all she's seen her entire life is granite kitchens from her mom and dad. That's the last thing she wants. So we're learning that there's different things. There, good. So I was in Europe last year, and my wife and some of the kids were shopping, of course. What else did they do? And I went into an interiors place, and I was looking at what they were doing in Europe. And this was in Paris. And Paris, a lot of times, leads the world in fashion and in design and lots of things. And so I was going through there, and I was looking at these kitchens. And I'm going, wow, this looks great. New and innovative. And I turned to the guy, and I said, I know something, on that same thinking about granite. I said, I don't see any granite. Do you do granite? He says, yeah, we do granite. And he points on this windowsill back behind some of the other stuff, these stacks of granite that have dust all over them. And I said, well, it doesn't look like you're doing it very often. And he said, no, we're not. So I think granite's going to go by the wayside in apartments. I'll just tell you what we're working on. Again, we want to stay out in front, like Stephen Jobs talks about. Give them something before they ask for it. So we have started finding resin and epoxy countertop where you can take broken glass and other things, put it in there as an aggregate. You use the same machine that you use to polish granite and cut granite. It's harder, it's totally recycled, and best of all, it's made in America versus granite that's made in China. So this is the direction we're heading, and you'll see this soon, and it really looks neat. These are a lot of the products we do. You know, I don't want to bore you with this. I think our newsletter's gone around and it shows that we put in there examples to our clients of what kind of density they can get on a site. And then we tell them, you know, you try some of these things and this is probably what your project will look like on opening day. Next. So they like that. A line of people. All right, next. You know, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about the AI billing index. I want to say something. When I was here, I took out a book in the library about managing an architectural practice, and it was a very good book. What's that? It hadn't been returned.
No, my parking meter's going to expire, that's what I'm looking at.
But it was about managing a practice. It talked about, you know, how many people you need for teams, how much overhead personnel you need for secretarial, that sort of thing. But it also talked about marketing, and it was very interesting, and I'm a very, very big proponent of marketing. Did you know if you contact 100 people on the phone or by internet, you will get 10 proposals out of that. And out of those 10 proposals, you'll close 1 or 1.5. Well, no, out of 5, you close 1 or 1.5. So you really only get 2 or 3 closed out of 100. So it's a game of numbers. You know, I know a lot of times architects, the notions are, I'm going to do great work and the phone will ring. Well, if they don't know your phone number, it's a real hard problem for calling. So you've got to get your beautiful work out there so that they will call you. But let's go on to the next one. About the AIA, you know, they give a lot of facts and figures about how things are doing. I went to, you know, I read all the AIA books on business too, but there's some fallacies. They talk a lot about, here's what the average firm's profitability is, okay? And their average firm in the U.S. makes a 7% profit. And that's at about the 50 percentile. So the guys below that aren't making a profit at all. And there's a corollary: the larger you are, generally the higher profit margin you make. The error in that number is 7% is based on an accrual-based accounting. And accrual-based accounting is when you send the bill out and you count it. Well, I'm on a cash basis. Until I have that money back, it's not the real deal. And we have found there's a 7% delta in the billings versus coming in. It's in the mail, if you will. So technically, the average firm is not making any money. So what I want to tell you is, AIA is giving you statistical information, but you don't want to be the average firm. You want to be better than that. And accounting firms and law firms don't make 7%, and we're a profession, and a much better profession. We need to push our profitability up. Next. Now, well, they're talking about, you know, what's doing well. Look at multifamily compared to the other sectors. So, multifamily real estate is doing unbelievable. Next. This is just a spreadsheet on an apartment project about its income stream and how much it's making per month. It's going from $88,000 a month in profit to $250,000 a month. That's a project I'm a real estate developer too. And I'm trying to say what I've done, and I think some things I've done right, because I need an annuity when I get a little bit older that's giving me cash flow. And I know how to do apartments, so I've developed some myself. And there's a real benefit to that for me personally in the future, but there's also a benefit to my clients. When I sit down with them, I know what they're trying to do financially, and so we're on the same page. Next. Now, this is a chart I'm real proud of. This is our billings in January 2009, and this is last month. So things are going well. Next. This is the building we won best in the U.S. on. This is a tunnel form building which is Utenard is the manufacturer of the tunnels. It's a very innovative system, a 40-story all-concrete tower. Next. And this is, you should be familiar with this. This was our first conceptual plan of the Overton district. Mr. McDougall said, I said, we need to do some retail along the street, retail at the base of the buildings. And he said, Mark, I don't do retail. We're not going to do any retail. I said, I think you're making a mistake there if you talk to Starbucks. And so the next time I came to a meeting, he goes, okay, when we put the retail down here on the base and everything, I said, wait a second, Mr. McDougall, I thought you weren't going to do any retail. He said, well, I talked to Starbucks. Also, just so you know kind of how things happen, I have a design team, and I get involved a little bit now. Not like I used to, but a little bit involved. And so we're laying things out. I'm familiar with this town. I've lived here a long time. And so I drew a little rectangle in my pencil as the guys were sketching everything up. And I said, Lubbock has terrible hotels. And I think the best place to put a hotel is right there across from the stadium. And actually on the top levels where maybe you could look down into the stadium. So I said, take our 17-story Sheraton we did in Orlando and drop that down there. Well, damn, they built it. And from what I've seen, that's been very successful. There's even talk about a second one. But we didn't do all this. We did all the master planning. We did the two McDougall projects here, layout of all the retail in the hotel, and then the ACC project is coming in up there, and this project is soon to be announced. Next. And those were just some of the conceptual early plans that we were looking at, where we were putting retail along the street here, and it had to have a front on both sides because we created a muse, kind of a nice alley between the bigger buildings and the back of the retail, and then it created two streets and doubled the retail. And you guys have all seen this, so next. And that's the center of the first building, of course. Next. And this is the new ACC, American Campus Communities building. There's a retail development. The retail developer got in trouble, and so one of our clients came in and bought that property. But it's currently under construction. It'll be ready by August. Now let's talk about downtown. We were selected as the planner for downtown Lubbock. And our vision was, and we worked with your urban studio, and you guys worked more in the arts district, right? And our focus is Broadway. And that drive-in from the airport, first time to see Lubbock, and I've heard some people get on that drive and they turn around. But to improve Q and make Broadway very special. What we've learned from the Overton district is retail has done phenomenal. That Walmart, all that has just done phenomenal. I think you're under retail in this portion of the city. So our thinking is doing a new urbanist retail development, basically, what you'd say in old terms, an open mall, but it's more urban, not covered. We're going to take at Q down Broadway and create a new old town, live with restaurants, bars, hotels, all that sort of thing. So that's the current plan that has been presented to the city. And then the multifamily will be behind it. And just some preliminary image ideas. We're going to one of the first things is to improve the streets and improve make tree-lined streets. The trees are in terrible shape there. And, so this is coming. They're working on utilities now. Next. Okay, and these are our offices. Again, you saw that in the earlier slide. We're in Charlotte, we're in Orlando, New Orleans, Dallas, Phoenix, Irvine, the Bay Area, and we just opened up Seattle. We also have Uruguay in South America, Dubai, and Chennai, India. We hired 34 people in the U.S. last year, 7 international. This year we've already hired 31. And if you can see the trend there, that means we're growing faster this year than we did last year. This is a little misleading. It says Outlook 45 employees hired by the end of 2012. It's not 45 total, 45 more. So we're looking for people badly now. Next. Next. And just some points. I think it's important to look at other businesses as income too, maybe the real estate business. Part-time job. I first worked for an engineer when I was in school. Then I worked for an architect developer that did apartments here. Every summer I went home to Dallas. I worked for an architect in Dallas. And you know what happened? I wasn't a very good student, freshman, sophomore year. Mr. Thompson knows that. That was Mr. White. But after working for those architects, it all of a sudden clicked what you guys were trying to teach us. It clicked. And I went from a student that may not be making it in school to I made all A's from then on, the last 3 years, because it all clicked. And then you knew purpose of where you were going. So I encourage everyone, and it doesn't matter what they pay you. You're paying these guys to learn what they're teaching you. If they pay you anything, you're learning invaluable from them. And when we hire people, we look immediately at whether, well, first their talent, but we look at have they've worked in a real office. Courses to further your career and knowledge, and that's why I'm saying business courses. Now, you need to be a little careful about this. I don't want to offend anybody, but not devoting all your time to computer animation and rendering. I have yet to ever see a client in a conference room get closed by when he hands a survey out in front of you and says, what do you think I ought to do on this? And you go, well, let me go back into where I've got my computer and stuff, and I'll draw something up over the next 2 days and I'll show it to you. The way that usually gets closed is get a roll of paper out, put it over that site, and sketch on there, this is what can be done. And we just hired Tyler, and he came in our office and sat down, and in 30 seconds, he was hired and he didn't even know it. He kept talking. He said, I've taken business courses, here's my work, and I'm an oddball, I still hand draw a lot. He didn't know he got hired like that. It's very important because that's how you close it with that client. I'm not saying you have to hand draw everything, but a little sketch, and then also people can know how to load it into the computer. Rite of passage, all-nighters unnecessary. You know, when I was sophomore year or whatever, when we started working on projects, everybody was doing these all-nighters. It was like a big deal. Oh yeah, we got to stay up all night. Let's do it the next day. So I did that one time and I went, well, this is really dumb. This doesn't make any sense at all. You got architects staying up all night trying to finish a project, you're no sleep, and you're drawing all this stuff. This is really crazy. So I said, you know what? On the next deal, I'm going to move the deadline up in my mind today. And I did that on every project. And I think the finality of that was, you know, I don't know how you guys do it now, but we had, you know, you're doing your senior thesis level, we called it back then, I don't know what you call it now, but you'd have to present in front of 3 instructors, just like they were clients, and show them your work. Well, it was kind of fun because I got a nice sleep, got a shower, was wide awake and everything, and I go in and I present the deal and got my facilities together. And everybody else hadn't slept, their hair's going like this, they're mumbling, they're still drawing on the project, you know, coffee spilled on it and all that. And that's the way we run our company. We're all about deadlines. I pay our employees, if they meet the deadline, they get a bonus. And if they beat the deadline, they get a bonus every day that they finish early, up to 10 days. And you know why? That's an important thing, because I can get them off that project. I keep the client happy, I can get them on another billable project, so I'm just sharing the wealth with them. But if they go long, then I'm paying them past where I should be paying them, and they're not working on a new project. Visit types of projects you want to be involved in. I mean, go to construction site, go to the projects that are being built. If you're interested in apartments, go see these new ones being built. And then this is related to looking for a job or looking for a project. I tell our marketing people, you know, don't market in small towns. Why? I mean, the volume of work is being done in the big major cities, as are the jobs. 65,000 jobs were created in Dallas last year and 100,000 in Houston, Texas. Now, that's an overview of the kind of slideshow, and if I can make just a couple more points, I think everybody's hungry. When asked the most important thing in an architectural practice, H.H. Richardson is said to have responded, "Get the first job." What's the most important thing after that, he was asked. Get the next job. So, you know, to do a 40-story tower in downtown Minneapolis, which is the tallest residential tower in Minneapolis, you can't be a three-man firm, you know? And I believe if we're not growing, we're getting smaller, and that's a fact. Because if we're 10 people, costs go up, so something's got to give. So we believe in growing. We can make a bigger impact. We feel like we are making an impact. We do social things too. I mean, we do Habitat for Humanity. We do some contributions to the architecture department. And, but I think it just gives us more capability. And your marketing plan, and I talked about that, you need to understand your market, analyze who your competition is, objective views of your strengths, lots of things like that. And hopefully I put across to you that we realize first and foremost we're architects and we're excited about creating something that'll be here in 100 years, but we're a business. And our employees are happy that we're a business and that we're growing, and they're growing, and they have learned a lot about how to run a business. All of our project managers that run teams get a financial report that shows exactly the profitability their team is at on a cash basis and accrual basis every Monday morning, real time. And the funny part about it is, on that same report, all the other project managers' profitability is on there. And it says what their bonuses are at the bottom based on that profitability. And there's no negativity about it. It's all positive because they know how they're being paid for whatever they do. So anyway, with that, I'm here to answer any questions if you'd like. And I did want to thank Mr. White and Mr. Thompson for all the support you gave me when I was in school. Two great instructors, and Dudley, as I was joking earlier, was all into urban planning and so forth, and that was so far ahead of his time. And Mr. White, you were always there who's always in the practice of architecture and talked about how to run a business. And Dudley, I tell you, I have a lot of fond memories of Virginia. She was a great woman. So with that, I'll take some questions.
I hope that some ideas are in your head. I hope you're thinking about placing yourself in a future like Mark's. So please, any questions?
You talked about investing kind of in real estate, and I guess making part of the project yourself. When were you able to start doing that? Could you repeat the question?
Yeah, I got it. You were talking about getting into projects for myself, apartments for myself. When was I able to do that? Well, let me just tell you, Humphreys and Partners Architects was started 21 years ago. And 34 years ago, I graduated from here. So here's, hopefully you'll look better than this then. But anyway, 21 years ago, I started the company, and 5 years before that, well, I was 13 years with another company, and 5 of those 13, I was a partner in that company. When I was a partner in that company, so this is quite a while ago, this is 26 years ago, 25, 23, something like that, there was another real estate crash, and I used to do a lot of skiing and stuff in Vail, and I noticed the prices were very depressed, so I started buying lots in Vail. You're not gonna believe this. $65,000 for a lot in Vail backing up to the National Forest. And I started buying lots, and I started building houses, designing houses. I haven't built up there. And then I got into where I didn't like that partner anymore for different reasons. And we were still in this bad recession. I couldn't raise money to start my business and be on my own. Banks wouldn't give me, I can get more on my credit card than banks give me. So I sold some of the houses and started my company on real estate. And as, you know, I've grown in financially, obviously your ability to put more equity in a project and build a bigger project is possible. You learn from your clients. I had 2 clients in my lifetime. They came to me, you know, we'd be out at dinner or something and talking, and, you know, I'd say, how did you do it? You know, we're $50 million or $100 million, and 2 of them leaned into me and they go, Mark, the secret is, it's not plastics, but the secret is real estate. Because you're paying on a apartment project, you put a certain bit down, you're paying a mortgage on it at a very low interest rate, and all the renters are paying the mortgage. You're not paying the mortgage. So over time, your rents go up, your mortgage goes down. At some point, you have no mortgage on it, it's all cash flow. And, you know, maybe that's too big to think right now, an apartment project, but, you know, a duplex, something like that. And you can buy homes here in Lubbock that are in foreclosure for a steal and rent them out. So, I don't know if I answered your question.
Another question? One more before we go. Okay, I want all of you to be as successful as Mark is. I'd also like to make another announcement. Mark has been very generous. You know, our college, your education, has several components to it. One component, of course, is the faculty, Mark talked about. One component, of course, is the staff that makes, it's the glue that makes all of the college work. But another component is the culture. And when I became dean here, and Mark has supported the college for years before that, and he has continued to support the culture of this college every year. And along with that, he has a scholarship that we'll give out in convocation on Monday. And one other thing I'd like to say is, or talk about a little bit, is the highest support that we can get in the college, the highest academic support that is available in the university is a chair. And a chair is prestigious in terms of its of the value that it gives to the units, so to the college, to the university, and it's also prestigious in the fact that a chair attracts people, and a chair supports the cultural side of our education, both in the classroom and out of the classroom. It makes us special, and Mark is excited about creating the Mark Humphreys Chair in Urban Design. So I want to be very important to our urban design program. It will make our urban design program the best urban design program in the nation, and we're excited about going there. Thank you all for coming.